Hello, everyone. This is Blanca reporting for The Shift and Earth Changes. Um, this week, United Nations decided to send a note out into the world that the governments around the world are not taking climate change serious, and they are telling people the contrary of the severity of climate change, um, meaning they're not telling people how severe is the situation of climate change. And they're making promises that they know very well they can't keep. So, in other words, United Nations is telling us that our government is lying to us about the severity of climate change, and everything that they're saying to us that they're going to change so they can handle so we can handle climate change better or slow it down is actually lies. They have no intentions of keeping or promises which are false lies. They have no intention of doing. um, wow, what what a statement. I mean, if United Nations, I thought United Nations no longer existed because I was like, where are they in this situation with climate change? Why they're not talking? They should be talking by now. They should be talking 2 years ago, before COVID started. And then we didn't have anybody talking from United Nations. I was even telling my husband you know, what's going on with United Nations? Do they even exist at this point in time? So I'm very glad that they came out and started speaking about climate change, and that not only they speaking about climate change, they are being very honest about what our government is not doing, um, to ease up climate change, and that the promises that they're making are not real. They have no intentions of keeping because it's not, they don't have a plan. Um, I was very impressed with United Nations of doing that. And is what I've been saying for the last 2 years, to my viewers. We have to take we have to take charge ourselves, not wait for our leaders to make changes, but we make changes. And people say, well, how are we going to do that and sustain our families? We need to think in a very tribal kind of way. And people have been using that word, especially the politicians in the last couple of years. They've been using that word like it's drug dealing or something like that, like being tribal is something bad. Being tribal meaning the community takes care of itself. The community comes together and take care, like a cell, they take care of themselves. Um, Tribal back in the day worked for thousands of years is a form of, uh, I don't like to say socialism because socialism has been used to as communism. Communism and socialism are two totally different things. Please learn this. Communism means dictatorship, having one dictator forever and ever until he dies and the next one comes around. Or and socialism is people helping people. Okay, people helping people. What happened with COVID? Everybody was helping, the churches were helping, people were helping. That is socialism. We practice socialism during COVID. Okay, we were still in a democratic government, but we were practicing socialism while COVID. Everybody was taking care of everybody. Well, that's the way it should be. In the sense of humanity, it should be that way. Everybody helping each other. Well, COVID was a good test run. Now we're actually going to go through the real thing. Now that climate change is going full force. The other thing that came out that I thought United Nations was very brave to put out there, a part of our governments are not doing what they're supposed to do, no, nor they're going to. The other thing that they said was that they made a mistake. Scientists made a mistake, and what they thought will take 200 years to happen is happening now. Now, I want to say this. I've been saying this for the last 5 years. This is not going to happen 200 years from now. I have gotten into arguments with earthquakes professionals because they were putting out there like, oh, this is going to take hundreds of years, maybe thousands before it actually hit us. We won't even be here. And I kept saying, no, it's happening now. Is happening now, is going to happen in the next five, in the next 14, 20 years. We're going to go through climate change, and they would get into arguments with me. So I'm very happy the United Nations, not happy because it affects us all, I'm not happy, but I am glad that they put it the way they needed to be put. This is happening now. This started, we didn't notice because it was so sublimely, uh, uh, it was going so soft at first and so slow mode type of thing that we didn't notice. But from since Hurricane Maria, okay, well, probably even before that, since the last Asia tsunami, okay, I would say since the last Asia tsunami, I think it was in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I have to research it again. But since the Asian tsunami, we've been spiraling into climate change. Okay, we are slowly. That train was slowly leaving the train station, and it was the first symptoms and signals that the climate change has started. That's what I believe. Because I remember I was surfing with my son. My son was about 9 years old, and we were surfing. And I remember how the ocean, and I was in Puerto Rico, I was not in Asia. I was in Puerto Rico surfing with my son, and all of a sudden I felt like the ocean went boom. It was like a yank, like somebody take, you're sitting in a carpet and somebody takes the carpet and yanks it back. And I looked at my son and I said, I, hold on a second. And a few seconds later, it happened again. And I told my son, we need to get out of the water. Something's going on with the water. And that was the first time that I felt Mother Earth is talking. She's going through something. And I think a couple of years later, we had another tsunami somewhere around the world. Um, it might have been longer, but it kept. That's when the train started moving. For me, that's my opinion. It started moving and left the station. So United Nations put it out there. The government is making promises they can't keep and won't keep. They can't they can't change the course because money issues, because money is what they're worried about. And they can't stop the corporations. Okay, and so the United Nations put it out there. Our government is not going to do anything. Whatever little bit they do is not going to be a big change, which right now we need a complete halt on emissions. And that means factories, production, and so on. And they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. So they don't understand. The government doesn't seem to understand that we are going to go into a full-blown catalyst event. Or maybe they know and they know there's nothing we can do. So it's just in the air. It's just in the air. Um, so United Nations put it out there. It is up to each individual to survive this situation, this climate change. And that was gently put. Okay. United Nations affirms that we are right now in climate change, that is not happening 200 years from now, that the scientists made a mistake, that is coming right now, that is happening right now, and it's gonna get momentum, it's going to get faster, it's going to get more violent. A lot of people are going to end up homeless. The islands around the world eventually will have to migrate into big continents. These continents and governments need to get ready for this volume of people coming in and making room for them, unless you expect them to drown. Okay. As we are right now with the flooding that happened in New Jersey a few months back, the floodings that are happening all over the world, the floodings that will continue to happen in Louisiana and Florida and any coastlines, people are going to lose their homes, become homeless. We're going to have a situation like this generation has never experienced. Our great great grandparents went to World War III, they went through the Great Depression. They know what it is to go to sleep hungry and wake up hungry, and having children sick and not being able to take them to the doctor, losing family members because of war or famine. Our great grandparents went through all that. Our great great grandparents and great grandparents. But our generation, has never gone through that. In fact, there have been a couple of generations before us that have not gone through it. And so my mother went through the Great Depression, um, the last one in 1930s, 1940s, but since then we haven't experienced such a situation where there's hunger and there's sickness and there's death. And we are in a position right now where is the earth rebelling against man. It is very sad. The scientists, the study 12, 15 years in a university to become who they are. So they've been telling the government for a few decades that this was coming. If they didn't stop the overproduction, the mission, the mission problem, and if they didn't stop digging and fracking and looking for gems or for oil, or for that, eventually the earth will go into a full-blown um, change. Many people say that this is something that happens normally, and this is a cycle of the earth, that it would happen if we were here or not, if the cars were running or not. Okay, I will say this to these people. The earth, which Einstein was very clear about, that is a system that reacts. You do something and it reacts. Now, we Native American know that this earth is a living entity. It's a living cell. It's a living entity that create millions upon billions and trillions forms of life, conscious life. This soul, mind, consciousness that we have, the earth has it. The earth is not a rock. You know, I know you see dirt and you see water and you see, but you don't see the soul of this earth. Indigenous people, we know that earth, our mother, has a soul, has a consciousness, has a life that gives trillions and trillions of life of all kinds. Okay, so to be pulling at her hair, deforestation, digging on her skin, taking pieces and chunks of her, putting them into space, you know, you are killing this entity. And yes, she's a monster. She's huge compared to us. We are almost microscopic compared to her. We are a tiny, tiny ant compared to Mother Earth. And yet we think that somehow we're going to get away with all the damage that we have done to her. People that think like that are idiots. This is a living entity. This is a living conscious entity. And in her immune system just got kicked into gear. This is not a dead rock around the earth. This is a living entity, a conscious entity. So all the damage that we have done, 75% of this damage is oil production, oil digging, oil fracking, a part of other minerals like, I don't know, anything to build their rocket spaceships, a part of other minerals like for building cars and so on, or the metals and so on. This shift would have, yeah, it would have happened, but it would have happened in a very slow pace, and it would have taken hundreds of years to go through the shift. It wouldn't be so violent like it's going to be. It would have been a very slow, timely process. But because we have built so much cement in top of Mother Earth, we have taken a mountain, take it from one side and put it in another. We have dig immense giant holes in the earth and in the ocean. All this is causing for her to react. And it's because all these changes, if none of this would have been done, none of this digging, none of this fracking, none of this burning coal or burning fuel, if none of this would have happened, the shift would have gone very slowly and deliberate, and likely not as violent. Yes, volcanoes have always exploded around the earth, sometimes 2 or 3 at the same time, but not 49 at the same time, not 50 something, 56 volcanoes at the same time. That is the difference. When we had hurricanes in the Caribbean, and back in the day when I was a child, maybe we had one hurricane category 3 or 4 every 10 years. The summer of Maria, we had 3 almost category 6 that is unheard of in one summer. So in 50 years, we went from having 1 major hurricane every 10 years to 3 major hurricanes in one summer. in one season, in 1 month. So that shows you where we at in climate change, how violent it's getting, how more violent it's going to get. We are going to see category 6 hurricanes. We are going to see category 6 tornadoes. We are going to see F5s and F6. We are going to see earthquakes take cities and take chunks of land. Right now we have a problem with erosion all over the coast, all over the world, because the rising of the ocean. This is going to create the buildings collapse, buildings that are near the ocean, the shoreline. We are going to start seeing towns and cities near oceans and lakes and rivers just disappear. We are going to see many cities around the coastlines disappear. And the thing that people don't want to move away from the coastline, knowing that this is coming, is more bizarre still. You know, I understand if you're very old and you don't want to move, you're too tired, you say, well, this is the end, and I take it. But if you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you think you can last at least a year, 6 months or a year without medicine, then it is worth every effort for you to help your family to stay alive. As we continue, we are going to start seeing many coastlines disappear, many islands losing shorelines and losing. Look what happened to Haiti. Okay, Haiti is a great example of what is very likely to happen to every island around the world, because they will be the most affected by climate change. Haiti went through Maria, and then after Maria, a few years later, not long ago, maybe about a year and a half ago, they went through an earthquake, a major earthquake, 6 point some. The whole grid, electric grid, the whole economic system has collapsed. They have to migrate. They don't have any other choice. The food is not growing, so they have to migrate. Or they gotta accept that they're gonna die. It's either or. And like Haiti, they're gonna be many islands doing the same. Are we gonna do this? Are we gonna do this to every island? Are we gonna just let them starve to death, not have a home? How inhumane are we? And then once all these things with islands happen, then we're going to have the coastlines all around the world. People that live near coastlines, at least 100 miles in, are going to be affected by the ocean, are going to be affected by tsunamis, are going to be affected by earthquakes and hurricanes of major magnitudes. And those people will have to migrate inland. So this is what the UN was talking about when it says the government are not doing what they're supposed to and not focusing on what they're supposed to, and therefore then they cannot help us because they're not realizing that this thing, this monster that we just woke up, is coming after us. It's coming after our homes. It's coming after our jobs. More homeless people, more economic devastation. The governor of Louisiana, in the last storm that they had last couple summers, I think it was last summer or the summer before, he told the people, do not reconstruct again in these areas. If you get insurance money, don't reconstruct in this area. Take your money and relocate. Go to another state, another place far away from here. That is the kind of thinking and leadership we need. He was clear about what is happening to Louisiana. And what is interesting about Louisiana is that Louisiana sits in an area that is known not only by the government, but by those like us that have been educating ourselves about climate change. Louisiana has a problem that is, the state of Louisiana is sitting in a major area where United States and people that are educated about climate change knows that Louisiana eventually will end up on the water. Anybody that lives in Louisiana should move. You need to get educated about climate change. You need to get educated about the changes that climate change is going to bring to our nation and our country. In any country that you might be, if you're in Europe, or you're in Spain, you're in Hawaii, or you are in Arizona, you need to get clear in the what ifs could happen to my state. There are states that are very safe because they fall inside of the Great Craton. And for those who don't know what the Great Craton is the landmass that is more steady in that continent. Every continent has a Great Craton, meaning the landmass that is the safest and more steady. Anything outside the Great Craton we call the valley, meaning that is outside the Great Craton, is landmass that is unstable. Like California. California has a lot of fault lines. In the west side of our country, in United States, we have a lot of volcanoes, a lot of fault lines. They intertwine with each other, and this makes this landmass extremely unstable. And now more than ever with climate change, we have a rising of volcanoes activity due to solar flares. Um, Anybody that knows, and if you don't know, every time we have a solar flare is a ejection of gamma uh, light and energy from the sun. When it hits our atmosphere, it activates the magma and the lava under the crust, and this activates volcano, and therefore we get earthquakes. Well, the west side of our continent is full of volcanoes, fault lines, and so it's going to be extremely active all through climate change. And we're going to see a lot of volcanoes becoming active in that area. We are watching right now Yellowstone, that we know that is a super volcano, and we will be in a lot of trouble if Yellowstone decides to blow or have an eruption and anytime soon. And it will put us in a really bad place when it comes to survival. Um, that can create too that the fault lines like San Andrea and the uh, Western Trench near Washington State and Oregon become extremely unstable as well. Right now, they're very unstable. San Andrea has been moving a lot in the last few months, and so is the trench near Oregon and Washington State. So you have to be attentive. You can't think that the government is going to help us, and you have to be understanding too about something. There's a lot of us. There are millions of us. is a huge financial responsibility to take care of all of us. And the government has done it in the last 600 years, but and it has to allow a lot of our natural resources to be destroyed. So um, you can't fix something like the climate when you are completely devoted on making money and making profit. You have to choose either or. It can be. And right now we are in a position where our leaders are thinking more about profit, and they're not thinking about the long-term damage that they're doing to our natural resources. We can't live without our natural resources. Our children cannot live a healthy life without clean water, without good food, without clean air. So we have to make a choice. We are in that crossroads: financial wealth or natural health. Everything that we are is connected to our Mother Earth. The air that we breathe, the food that we eat, the water that we drink, the clothes that we put in our bags, everything comes from Mother Earth. So without her, we are dead. And so profit is not working for us anymore. This society of consumption is not working for us anymore. So, excuse me. So we at the United Nations have warned us. We are at the crossroad, and that's what they meant by that. You either choose Earth or you choose profit. And if you choose profit, ding, 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 wrong answer. Okay, so our leaders at this point in time are choosing profit. How are we going to go back to normal? Is one of their sayings. Are we going to go back to normal? How are we going to create more jobs, more production? This is the constant talking of our politicians today, and that is the wrong answer. The only thing that is going to take us through and maybe even slow down a tiny bit climate change will be a complete halt on all emissions. And that means stop production, stop using cars, start using airplanes, stop fracking, just stop digging. That's what is going to save us. And because probably it's not going to happen because the corporations are in charge right now of making decisions for the government, um, we are in big trouble. We are in big trouble. So the best we can do is try to survive it the best we can. And with education and knowledge, you should be by now knowing how to purify water. You should know by now how to hunt and skin food. Your children should know how to fish. You know, you should know how to read maps. We are going to lose GPS power. The solar flares continue. We are going to lose electric grids. He is just going to fry them. Okay. Many people are worried about the war with Ukraine and Putin, and it's a real threat. I mean, the guy is really losing his mind and is going after everybody. They're trying to stop him. So this is a real threat, and a lot of people say, well, okay, if it's not climate change, we're gonna end up going because of nuclear war. Right now, I would say to people, concentrate in climate change because they are powers that be that are trying to stop this madman, and we have no control over that at this point in time. So the only thing that we can control is educating ourselves about climate change, trying to figure out if you need to move away from where you're at. and where is the safest place to go. They say that we are tilted, that the earth is tilted 36 degrees, and when we hit 40 degrees, it's all hell is going to break loose. I don't know if 36, it might be a little upgraded because I haven't searched for that information in a few months. But they said that we hit 40 degrees, all hell is breaking loose. That I don't know if this is true or not. I haven't researched it, so please, if somebody wants to research it, send information to me. That's real. That's okay. Somebody said that other planets in our galactic family, our galaxy, had flipped already. The two of them had already flipped, um, and we are next in the continuation of flipping. And when I say flipping, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, the North Pole is no longer where it was. The North Pole is not longer near Alaska like it used to be. It's somewhere in Siberia right now. This, what this does when the poles start moving away from where they were before, it starts moving the Earth. It starts tilting it. Okay. The fear, because there's no recollection or history records on this. The fear is that the planet will flip in a violent movement, and this can create all kinds of chaos with the ocean coming in and all that. But that is unknown. Okay, that is unknown. We don't know that yet. Somebody mentioned something that two other planets have done this already in our solar system, and we don't know that either. I have not done any research, but if somebody has, send it to me. This is what I believe, and this is my opinion, not scientific data, just my opinion. The galaxy is like a car, and if one of the planets is out of whack, it's going to make the whole galactic family be out of whack. The Earth has been dragging, she's been wobbling as she moves. Okay, this is, imagine a car, the tire is wobbling and it's making the whole car wobble, it's making the whole system wobble. And I believe that the damage has been so severe, the damage that we have done to the Earth, that the whole galactic family, the whole galaxy is actually reacting towards Earth. And the reason that I say this is as we watch the solar flares, most of the solar flares are occurring in the last 5 years. They've been occurring mostly towards the Earth. It's almost like the sun is a conscious entity just like the Earth, and is consciously sending the solar flares to Mother Earth. And so that kind of tells me, or my mind, that the damage, this shift that is happening to the Earth, is causing for the whole galactic system to react to the Earth. And so right now, as we are 30, I think it's 36 degrees, but I need to check. I haven't checked in a while. Tilted. I am a lot of people ask me, what can we do? What can I do if this is an event that is going to happen with me or without me? What can I do? What you can do is do some research in the area that you are and see if you need to move. If you have small children, you want to look for an area that is nature based, so there could be more animals where you can hunt or fish. Climate change brings a sense of reality that we have not experienced in our generation. The devastating effects is something that we cannot prepare for. Nobody can prepare for a tsunami. Nobody can prepare for an earthquake. These are, nobody can prepare for a landslide. Be attentive of what's going on in your area. If you go on vacation, research before you go if those areas are not having landslides, major earthquakes, and or volcanic eruptions and so on. A lot of people are going to travel this summer, and because the COVID restrictions are lifted, uh, be attentive. There was a couple of people that went to Washington State, and they had a small tsunami in this area, and people got hurt. So don't, right now, Lake Tahoe, a good example of that. Lake Tahoe is having earthquakes and is having a warming type of situation that is signaling to the scientist community that is a volcano underneath Lake Tahoe that may be becoming active, and this can cause tsunamis within the lake, can cause landslides and so on. They're having a lot of earthquakes. They're having a swarm of earthquakes right now in Lake Tahoe. So if you're going to go and travel to Lake Tahoe, you need this information so you don't get caught in some situation that perhaps you can get hurt or your family can get hurt. So the best thing that you can do while we're going through climate change is research where you at. Research any lakes or rivers around you. A lot of rivers are coming out of their uh, course. A lot of rivers are coming out and widening themselves. So these are areas that are very dangerous to live at this point in time. Lakes, we had a major issue with the lakes in Michigan causing erosion. The lake was acting actually like the ocean, and it was coming in, it was having big waves, and it was acting as it was the ocean. And a lot of people lost their homes near this Great Lake areas. So we are in a situation where wherever you go, you need to do research before you go there. An example, Las Vegas. Las Vegas right now and parts of Southern California are having issues with drought. It's very likely that Las Vegas will stay without water, because if it doesn't rain, and we're talking major amount of rain, we need we need a hurricane to go through the dam to fill it up, because right now it's very dangerously low. And Vegas, if this continues as it's going, Vegas will be without water in the next couple of weeks. So and if you're planning to go to Las Vegas and you get there and you don't have water to bathe, water to drink, water to do anything, then you're going to have a horrible time in your vacation to Vegas. So this is the kind of things that you need to research. You need to research where you're at, if there's any lakes or river near you that could get over flooded and put you in a situation of losing your home or your lives. These are the research that you need to do. And then the second is that if you're going on vacation anywhere in the world, research what is happening in that country, or if there's anything bad happening in that country. A lot of information, you're not going to find it in mainstream media. We are having a lot of natural disasters that are not being reported to the mainstream media. So you is to each individual to look for information. YouTube has information, other news sources that are not mainstream have information. Don't get caught, please don't get caught in theories, okay? Don't get caught and this is the end of the world, apocalyptic, and everything is going to go bad. Don't get caught in religious end of the world drama. You want the scientific data. That's what you want. You want scientific data. A lot of people are going around scaring people. And yes, this is a very scary situation. It's a very real situation. And we need to be conscious and aware and be smart. Okay. Sadly, men have created 75% of the issues that we have with climate change. And so, is this a predisposed idea that we're supposed to go through an apocalyptic? I don't know. You know, religion has done a real number on us when it comes to apocalyptic times. And I believe the apocalyptic have happened many times before this one, um, because we don't learn to treat Mother Earth as a being. We treat it as a piece of rock that has no life, and we are so wrong about that in so many levels. Um, so, do your research where you live. If you're gonna go on vacation, do the research where you're going and on your way there if you're traveling by car. And be aware, there are many places at this point in time on Earth that are having cataclysmic events, meaning major floods that are taking towns and cities, meaning earthquakes, meaning possible tsunamis, meaning volcanoes on the water. This is not a time to be near the ocean. This is not a time to be near the oceans. There are many volcanoes erupting around the world, and there are many volcanoes becoming active underwater. This is not a time to be by the ocean. What do Native American we know what's what's going to happen? Well, is happening or what's going to happen afterwards? The destruction of the earth will go on. The earth will be here for millions of years after we are gone. It's us, the issue. We are the issue. We have become like bacteria to the earth, chopping away, eating everything. We no regard of other species, the balance that the species bring to our ecological system and our fauna. So what we can do right now is just try to survive this. There's going to be earthquakes, tsunamis, landslides, cracks in the earth that separate continents. We're talking major change. Mother Earth is cleaning house. And these changes, some of them are going to be abruptly and violent, while others be slow pacing, like eating away at the earth slowly. And others is going to be like, boom, an island is gone. Boom, San Andreas Fault hits, and half of California is gone. This is the kind of, and for to survive something like this, you got to be very aware, very educated, very aware of what the earth is doing, feeling the earth under your feet, and knowing what is happening. And if you don't have that kind of connection to the earth, it's going to be very difficult to act in a way that is going to save your life. If you are caught up that this is my house and I don't want to leave it, this is my job, I have to go there, then you're not going to survive. because the earth, when she wants your attention, she wants it completely. It's a done deal. It's a decision she made. And if you don't move out of the way, you're going with the flow. You're going with the river. Okay, so our ancestors said very clear, if you're not a spiritual person, you will not survive the shift. And the reason, and I'm not talking religious, there's a difference between being spiritual and being religious. Religious is a person that follows ceremonies and go to all the ceremonies and go to church and reads the Bible or reads the Quran, and that's religious. A spiritual is a person that understands the language of the earth, understands the language of the spirit, is in constant communication with it, and understands that when the spirit says, you need to move, they move. You need to leave this house and go to the mountain and hide. They will do exactly that because they are so connected with the Great Spirit and the earth that they understand the language of the earth. So if you don't got that, it's going to be very hard to survive this shift. That communication, that connection with the earth and the Great Spirit has to be strong. I said if you don't have it, start working on it immediately. How you work on it? You pray, you wake up with the sun every day, you pray to Grandfather Sun, you pray to Great Spirit, you pray to the Creator, you pray to Mother Earth, you connect, you walk barefoot in the earth, you commune with the earth and the water, you honor all life, all life. You don't kill unless it's a situation of life and death that you have to eat that animal. You don't kill for killing. You kill if that is the last thing that you gotta do to survive. You honor all animals, you honor the trees, you honor every life that has been put on this earth. That's how you become spiritual. And it's not something you can fake. Some people do fake being spiritual, crazy enough. They fake being holy people and medicine people. They fake their lives. This is not something you can fake. So if you're not already connected, you're late. But while you're still alive, keep trying. Honor your life. Respect your body. Heal your body. Heal your mind. Heal your heart. Work from a place of heart to heart with people. You know, I have a lot of family in my island in Puerto Rico. My son still lives there. I have aunties and uncles and cousins that still live in Puerto Rico. I told them many times to leave Puerto Rico. They didn't want to leave. And I fear for them. I pray for them. I hope that they are able to survive what is coming. So all of us have family somewhere where we are concerned for them. If you have not moved outside of islands, I don't know how much time you may have. But if you have any ways and means to do so, and you can move into the Great Creton, you have better chances of survival. People are going to survive this, but they're not going to be many of us. It's calculated that likely 3/4 of the world's population will perish in the shift. 3/4. That's a lot of people. And with a lot of people dying and not enough people to bury them, come diseases. Okay. So we not only have to worry about the climate and how it's going on, we have to worry too about the rising temperatures and what this means for bacteria and other illnesses that perhaps we don't even know can rise. Is not a good scenario. What we do know is that once everything is done, which it can take from 14 to 20 years or longer, maybe 200 or maybe 300, once it's done, the earth is going to be beautiful again, like new. And the ruins of the world that we built will be under sand, under earth, on the dirt, and maybe a few ruins here and there, like the ruins of Rome. And there will be a few that will survive this, and they will inhabit the earth and come back together again. And maybe in 1,000 years from now, we'll repeat. We'll rebuild a society, and hopefully we won't forget. We supposedly, according to the stories of our ancestors, the earth had been destroyed before. Yeah, and the Bible talks about the flood of Moses. But the truth is, as indigenous people, we know this. We know that this has happened before. Not only because our ancestors have told us the stories, we were able to maintain that chain of generation information, historical information. We were able to maintain that. But because we instinctively know that we have done this before. Before I knew the stories of my ancestors and the people and the indigenous people of the United States, I knew instinctively that we have destroyed the earth before, that we have done it before. I didn't know how I knew that. I just knew. And then when the stories were told to me, was an affirmation of what already I felt was before. So the problem is, and this is very key to what's happening today, that they want to erase history in school and not tell the children what the white race have done to the world, because the children of the white race will be traumatized. Well, children from other races have been traumatized for 600 years. The only way that we're going to learn not to repeat the same mistake is by knowing the truth. Truth has to live in our hearts, in our history, in science, and our political system. If truth is not the base of these systems, then we don't have a society that is strong enough to lead anything. And the world has become so corrupted with greed that it's near impossible to turn it around without some major waking up, kind of shaking the monkey cage situation. We have done this so many times, and all because we have not remembered where we came from. So this history and truth needs to go hand in hand from generation to generation so they don't forget. Humans, we only live maybe 65 to 85 years, and there's a change of generation and power and economics and education. But the truth of who we are needs to go forward with every generation so we don't forget what we have done. So if the truth is not there and the truth don't exist or is not shared, that chain breaks, is broken, and then civilizations becomes lost. Thank you for listening. Prayers for the children of Earth. We will keep informing. I had several visions that kind of, this happened in the last solar flare. I don't know what it means in the spectrum of things. Um, the vision was, it was the last solar flare, and I was looking outside at the grass. There was no wind. Um, and all of a sudden I saw like if there was this great wind coming through the fields, and there was no wind at all. The trees were still and everything. And then I saw a bunch of buffalo running through. It seemed like they were going in the grass and they were coming from the grass like that. And I could see the buffalo. And then I saw the horses. And then I saw what it seemed to be people coming out. And then I saw what it seems to be some form of uh, alien and spirit and human and something else. It was just coming through. And I thought to myself, this is coming through the sun rays. So that was quite the vision. Um, I think our buffalo is going to save us. Our horses are going to save us if we let them live, if we let them procreate themselves and become, um, you know, and to become what they were before. So I think that was the message of the vision. The best way that we can survive this tragedy is being attentive, being educated about the subject, being attentive of the weather, having a connection to Mother Earth, trusting that connection, trusting your instincts, having that connection with the Creator, trusting those instincts. You have to prepare physically as well. You gotta get stronger. You have to have the right equipment, the right camping gear. But that doesn't mean that even if you don't have all these things, you wouldn't survive. It was made very clear by our ancestors that if you have a deep spiritual connection with Mother Earth, if you have a deep connection with the Creator, it's very likely that you can survive the shift. But you got to be so in tune and so tight with Mother Earth and the Great Spirit. Stay attentive, educate yourself and others. I hope